Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and these are the games I'm adding to my collection in October 2024. As usual, these are the games I played for the first time in September 2024, and we're going to divide these up into three categories. We're going to have the games I'm actually adding to my collection, the games my kids are adding to my collection, and the games that are kind of being put in a limbo state until I get more plays and see how I feel about them, but I like them for right now that things could go either way on them. But first, we're going to do a quick recap of the games leaving my collection. I usually cover this, just going over briefly. There's a whole video on the games leaving my collection. That's always divided up into two categories, the games that are like passing through my collection and the games that are actually leaving my collection. And for these 6 games that left my collection this past month, we have God Tier, Millefiori, Zoo Tycoon, The Mandalorian Adventures, Scarface 1920, and War of the Ring. In particular, Scarface 1920 is one that hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. I don't want to go to Scarface. I just priorities in the games I'm trying to pick and play. It's always hard, but nonetheless, 6 games left my collection, all of which I enjoy and all of which left for various reasons, and Scarface is the one that hurts the most. It's just good. It's a good game. It's just hard to table and teach, but it is a great game when you actually do get a table. Either way, that's just kind of a precursor, so 6 games left my collection. Let's go ahead and see what's being added. First of all, this is my little cheat category, which is the games that kids are adding, which I never really count in these videos over here. They just get added and that's it. Which we have 2 games over here. We have Little Alchemist and Star Realms Academy. Little Alchemist is from CGE. It is the kid-friendly version of Alchemist, although it brings you through a slow progression of unlocking boxes as you learn the systems and as you learn the nuances of the systems of how it works, as you get more and more strategic in terms of what you're deducing. It has a little bit of app-based play in it. So far, I kind of like it better than Alchemist, although it's not really a fair comparison. I like it better for what it's doing and who the target audience is than I like for Alchemist. You can expect a full review at some point. I just want to actually finish the game first before I do a review, because it changes so much every single game, and I just don't think an opinion I gave now would be anything other than a first impressions. But as of right now, I don't know if it's a forever game, but for right now, my daughter and I are enjoying it, going through a lot, and it's definitely one that is likely to stick around for some degree of time. We also have Star Realms Academy. My son loves this one. This is another kid-focused game over here. My son loves this. My son loves this. Has been asking to play it nearly non-stop. I've been enjoying it a lot, and it's basically a kid-friendly version of Star Realms, diluting the best of what Star Realms has to offer into just a smaller package that is very accessible. And it also makes me happy that I still have my Star Realms Deluxe Giant Box Big Foil set, because I'm kind of excited to show him that and see how quickly he picks that up. So those are the 2 that are being added to my collection from my kids' collection. Again, this is just a category of games I wouldn't keep for myself, but because my kids want them, they go ahead and get to pick whatever they want, and those get added. In the category of things that I'm not yet sure about, we have 2. These are games that I like so far. Based on my plays of them, I like them. I'm just not yet sure if they're keepers yet, but in general, I put these into a little bit of a limbo category. For the sake of this video, they're being counted as being added, but just so that you know, when 4 months go by and I'm like, oh, I'm getting rid of that game, I told you now, I'm not yet sure. It's still in a decision point kind of place. And to that end, we have the Reef Project over here from Board and Dice. Reef Project is one that I've gotten 1 play under my belt so far. I plan on getting more plays in. I'll be reviewing it at some point. But overall, I currently definitely like it. I just don't know yet if I'm like, I need to play this. So a little bit, it's good. I could see it being a 3.5. I could see it being a 4. I have a hard time believing it would be outside of those ranges, at least based on my first play. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I definitely enjoyed it. I just don't yet know how much. And then on a more interesting note, we have Tend from Ivy Games. At the time of filming this video, I only have 1 play under my belt of Tend. I will be getting more plays in. The crowdfunding campaign launches shortly. But based on my 1 play, I was both incredibly frustrated by and also enjoyed my experience. It's one of those games that starting off the first half of the game, I'm like, you will never ever get enough done. The game's going to end. It's going to crash and burn. You're not going to get enough stuff done. And then when the game does end, you're like, okay, I kind of got a lot of things done, now I want to try that again. So I'm kind of in this weird place where my first half of my first game was almost annoying, and my second half of my first game was like, ooh, let me try to do this again. So right now, Tend's in a place where I think I like it. I just need more plays to see exactly how much I like it and whether it's a keeper for me or not. And so those are the category of, again, for right now, they're being added to my collection, but they are both in a limbo state until I get more plays and more data under my belt on those games. And that brings us to the category of games that are actually being added to my collection. These remaining 5 games are games that are just definitely being added. Again, there's no guarantees for how long. In theory, they can leave my collection whenever, but I think these other 5 are likely going to be games that stick around for quite some time. Like, I'd be surprised if I'd be surprised if any of these left my collection in the next year, almost certainly even further than that. Starting off, we have a Castle combo over here, one that I have not yet reviewed, but you expect review coverage coming soon. I've already gotten a bunch of plays in this on my belt. It's an easy-to-table game, very similar to Faraway in the general structure of what it does. Again, I'll have a full review going into the details, but basically it's card comboing in terms of trying to figure out the right pattern of cards to both give you in-game abilities as you draft them, but also give you end-game scoring, and trying to optimize around what is the most efficient combination of things to do that. So far, very enjoyable. Not quite Faraway level, but very, very, very close. We also have Rebuilding Seattle over here. This is a delightful game from WizKids. The only way I can see this leaving anytime soon is if Rebuilding Chicago, which I believe is their upcoming title. If that one is going to be better in some way, maybe we'll replace this. But other than that, Rebuilding Seattle, another one I owe you review coverage on, and you'll get at some point. But in general, Rebuilding Seattle is just a tight polyomino game of trying to gather the right polyominoes and then trigger certain events at the right time that is beneficial for you and not for your opponents. It can be mean, it can be cutthroat, it can also be about building things up as much as it is about tearing things down. Very much looking forward to continuing to play this one. We also have Beyond the Horizon. This is one that I actually don't have yet right now, but I got a play of it in at WSBG, and it's one that, based on my one play so far, I'm definitely very interested. Although one play is not really fair because it is based on Beyond the Sun, a game I have a whole bunch of plays under my belt, and I've really enjoyed Beyond the Sun, and I'm looking forward to continuing to table Beyond the Horizon because it takes everything I like about Beyond the Sun and makes it prettier and arguably better and more intuitive in some ways, although some aspects of the game, in terms of the components and whatnot, are a little harder to deal with, so I will have critiques whenever I do get around to covering it, but overall I definitely enjoy Beyond the Horizon, and I'm excited to play that one again. Then we have Fairy Ring. Fairy Ring is more of a kid-friendly game to an extent, but it's also a game that is just as fun to play with a game group. I have played this with kids, I have played this with adults, and I have enjoyed it with both. It is a great game of drafting fairies into a little fairy ring and trying to time the movement of your fairies to figure out how you can score. There's a collaborative nature of the game, kind of. It's not cooperative, it's not semi-co-op, but there is an element of trying to build towards the same things your opponents are building towards because they'll give you opportunities to score points. So it really, really works well. Very fast playing, very easy to teach, really enjoy Fairy Ring, and again, probably one that's going to be sticking around for some time. And then lastly from these games over here, we have a Shuffleboard, which is a slightly weird one, but again, I will have Shuffleboard coverage coming for you soon, because I'll have a full review on Shuffleboard. Shuffleboard is a game that I have been playing 3 or 4 times a day, every single day since I've gotten it. It's a little insane, it's a little intense, I'm liking it a little bit too much. It's a mini Shuffleboard. We'll talk more about it in a dedicated review, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon. And those are the games being added to my collection, which, just to give you a quick recap over here, means there are 6 games that have left my collection in the month of October, I guess we're in. 6 games left my collection in the month of October. We have 7 games being added. Well, we have 2 games being added to my kids' collection, but I don't count that in the math here. Although now I'm wondering if I count that in the math when I get rid of them. Like, when I get rid of a kid's game, do I count that in the math? Am I giving myself secret points here? I don't know. We'll have to keep track of this in the future. And then I have 7 games that are being added to my collection, 2 of which are kind of in a temporary limbo state, and that's going to be Reef Project and Tend. Again, every game is theoretically in a limbo state, but when I say they're specifically in a limbo state, I mean that I like them enough that they're on the shelf, but I'm not yet sure enough that I'm not sure. That's what it comes down to. I need more plays of both of those. But either way, we're going to count that as a math of 6 games out, 7 games in. That puts me at plus 1 game for the month of October, which is a recap of, where we are until now in the series. This is the 6th video in the series so far that we've been doing the games being added to my collection. And across all of them, we're currently up. We were up 14 games as of last video, and now as of this video, we're now up 15 games. So across half the year, my collection size has swelled by 15 games total, which would put me on an average collection growth of 30 games a year, which is too many, although I'm realizing I have a campaign game purge video coming soon, and that will probably help with the numbers. So we'll figure that one out in the future. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. These are the games that I've been adding to my collection in the month of October, and as always, I hope you have a good one.